When we think about income streams for content creators, digital products often figure prominently in that mix. Over the years, creators such as Sean Cannell, Vanessa Lau, and Katie Steckley have shown us how digital products have provided a significant stream of revenue for their businesses. And indeed, for some creators, digital products have become their primary source of revenue. In principle, there's a lot to like about this type of product offering. Aside from the initial investment in creating the product, the upfront costs are limited. Plus, there's no inventory, and marketing costs can be scaled up or down depending on how things are going. And if you can build up a library of successful products, you can compound that growth further or diversify your income streams because you are not just directly trading your time for money per sale. That's what makes this income stream so scalable. But here's the catch: creating a successful digital product can be incredibly challenging to do. There is just so much competition in this space right now, not only from people deploying entire creative teams towards this, but also from the use of tools such as generative AI. So if your product is not well scoped, appropriately targeted, uniquely positioned, and backed by some kind of social proof, your chances for a successful product launch are next to zero. Like it's zero. That's why in today's episode, we're really fortunate to have the opportunity to speak with Alice Seba. Alice has more than 23 years of experience in online business as a digital creator. She has a YouTube channel with close to 8,000 subscribers, and her Facebook group for eKit Hub has 4,700 subscribers. And over the course of her career, she has sold millions of dollars in digital products. So you're going to want to hear what she has to say about how to get started in this and sell more digital products. So let's get into it. Hi, Alice. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you very much for having me.
Maybe we'll start from the beginning here, where you began your journey as a stay-at-home mom looking to support your family. And could you walk us through those early days and what that was like?
Yeah, like I had just had a baby and I was on the wonderful maternity leave that we do give in Canada that when moms can stay home with their kids for a year. Just thinking, could I not go back to work? I still need to pay bills and all that stuff, but how could I do this? So I went, this is, very like 2002. There were what the internet was, there was a lot of websites. There wasn't a lot of e-commerce, but it was sort of starting to maybe get going. And I joined like these work at home mom groups because they were places where you could learn about how to make money from home. And they were all focused on those direct sales companies and like a lot of home party products like Tupperware and stuff like that.
I remember that.
But that's not working at home. That's going to people's houses and doing parties. And I'm said, like, there must be a way for you to make a full-time income online. And everyone's like, well, you can make some money online, but you can't do it full-time. It's just supplement your business. And I was like, I don't think that's right. I'm going to find out how to do it. And then I did decide to do that. And then I was going to take these moms on the journey with me. So I actually created this really great community of work at home moms. We called ourselves internet-based moms to prove that we could be online full-time.
Amazing.
And it just grew from there. And then, learning about different types of products, different niches and things like that. But yeah, that's really what got it started. And just a desire to prove people wrong. And then also I've always been very interested in writing. I did imagine myself as a fiction writer and maybe even a poet, but I got to have this outlet through content that was nonfiction most generally. So, but it was great. It was, that was the beginning and it grew from there.
Well, what was your first digital product that you created?
Well, I had to look up the name. It was called the Internet-Based Mom's Guide to Marketing Your Website.
Okay.
So basically walk them through the basics of search engine optimization, building your list. But that was an ebook, just a plain old ebook.
Yeah. And what did you learn about how to turn an idea into a digital product people actually want to buy? I imagine would be particularly challenging at that time because unlike now where there's a lot of advice online about how you can do it, courses you can take on how to create a digital product, it just didn't exist at that time.
Yeah. I mean, I saw other people doing it. And I think that another fellow Canadian, are you familiar with Ken Evoy, who was from SiteSell? He actually had a little ebook on making an ebook.
There you go.
But what I think I really learned, a lesson that I learned, and I think great for other people to get from that is my experience is that online, you don't have to be an expert. Like I wasn't really an expert, right? I was just a determined person. I found a group of people who were interested in what I was interested in, and I brought them on my journey. And I
Mhm.
think creating products around that are great because your audience is everything. So if it's just people you connect with, and then, show them how you do stuff. That's one of the easiest ways to make a product. And obviously, you got to know if they're going to be interested. But if
Yeah.
they're already interested in you and love to follow you, and there just have to be people who are maybe a couple steps behind you. My friend Colin Terrio pointed that out to me. He's a copywriter and he illustrated that so well. It's really cemented to me now that, yeah, you just have to be a couple steps ahead and they're going to come along for the ride.
Yeah. In some ways, I think it's an advantage because you believe that the system the other person's going to show you is something that you can actually do.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, well, I'm not at that level. I can't implement all those
Right.
systems. And
Well, and then people get in this idea like, yeah, like it's easy for you because you're an expert. It's like, well, how did you become an expert? Like people do feel that way. You're right.
exactly. What do you find that people get wrong about content marketing?
Really not having a purpose or a plan for their content. Like they will treat content creation separate from whatever products they're developing and not really connect the two things, but they go hand in hand. A lot of people might create content for the algorithm, what they think the algorithm's going to like, but that isn't going to necessarily translate into paying customers. And I think that if you have a more solid content marketing plan that naturally drives people to your products, you're going to do way better with that than trying to get this huge audience to see content that never buys anything.
Yes. Where people are, as they say, chasing views, but they're not necessarily chasing the right views and they're not connecting it back to what they're actually selling. And then, yeah, of course, it becomes frustrating because you're either getting views and people aren't buying, or you're not getting views, and then it feels like the whole thing is a
Yes,
wasted effort.
there's a kind of a middle ground that you have to go for, right? And I think when you're excited about what you want to share, then that gets contagious and you'll get that audience that follows. I think that goes along with what we said about bringing people along for the ride on your journey.
Hmm.
People will want to follow that. You don't need a huge following to make a great business.
Right. And well, you, as you said, you've been doing this for a long time, before content marketing was even a buzzword. What's the most surprising thing you've seen in how it's evolved, and what are some of the fundamentals that have remained unchanged?
So I don't know if anything really surprises me, but what I do think a lot of fads come. Years ago, there were like these content scrapers. It was this automated tool that would basically sort of make a Google search page and it would be links to a bunch of sites.
Right.
People got tons of traffic from it and they monetized it with ads, but it was something that was not going to last. And it wasn't even
Yeah.
content, right? It was people always chase that kind of stuff. Or even when it comes to reels now. And I think you can do amazing things with TikTok reels, Instagram reels, or shorts on YouTube. I think you can do amazing things on that. But a lot of people,
Mm.
again, they don't make a plan for it. They're just trying to figure out how can I get more views of this thing,
Yes.
right? And now we also have people using, I think AI is a wonderful tool, but also churning out garbage. And
Mm-hmm.
just like, I need to get more content out and they're spitting out. This kind of reminds me of that content scraper time where people are just putting out
Right.
whatever. So I think the fundamentals are actually still the same, that there's new tools, there's different ways to get traffic. And I think it's important to not just chase fads, but to have a
Yeah.
solid plan. That's the fundamental of selling by through information, through connection with your audience. Like those fundamentals really haven't changed.
Yeah, and I think the platforms sometimes lead us astray themselves with the number of metrics that you have access to,
Yeah.
and like the views and the follower count and all of that stuff is what's constantly in front of you if you're checking that. But the not the like how many deeper conversations did I have in the chat, or how many people signed up to my email list, how much revenue did I drive, those things that really are longer term more meaningful, but they're not, you know, they're not measured in the same way. And the numbers with that are always going to be smaller, especially when you're starting out. They're not going to be
Mhm.
impressive or as motivating. I even find I get caught up in that a little
Yeah,
myself.
it's hard.
All that
Hard not to, right? Even
got to get 1,000 views again.
yeah, I think exactly. But then it's mystery. How even know if it's gonna do that? It's better to focus on the business building part.
Yeah, I'm trying to do a little bit more of that myself, thinking about what's strategic content for the stuff that I'm marketing. So if it's like
Mm.
whether it's my merch store or affiliate links, to make content that's more aligned with that, even if it doesn't get as much views.
You create these things that they can be repurposed and used in different places. So an interview can be reused for other purposes, put into a product, right? It will be the whole product because you've released it for free, but an extra thing that people can watch or clips of things or articles that you write. Like there's just so many different places you can reuse this. So think of them as assets.
That's a good point. You could become more like if you're more of a multi platform creator, yes, you're probably creating stuff that is getting less views on any one platform. It's not being driven by just that platform algorithm, but you can actually reach more of your right audience and maybe not all in one place, but you have more opportunities to reach them by distributing it more widely than
Mhm.
narrow. That's
Yeah.
something I'm thinking a lot about now in terms of like you could probably get more followers and more traction if you just focused on one platform. But I think there's a lot of risk that goes with that at the same time because things change so quickly.
Yeah.
Are you reaching the right people or are you just being driven by the growth of that platform?
Yeah.
So,
I think it's important to try to get everyone onto your mailing list because then the algorithm
yes.
doesn't control that. Yes, spam filters may have something to say because they're not always rational, but it's still that's an asset that you will own. For me, I don't worry so much about platforms. Like I don't actually a whole lot of social media. Like we use
Yeah.
YouTube because it's a great tool for like having a channel there. That's a really big asset for a business. So any
Mm,
customer we send over there is going to have a wealth of information. It's useful
right.
to them. Facebook groups I love because I get to connect with people. And you mentioned having conversations and they are important, even though we
Yeah.
don't like, we might think it's just one person and it's always the same person, but you grow through these conversations. You're
Right.
learning a lot through them. Like there's always so much benefit. And that's what I always try to think about. Like how outside of the algorithm or the views, what am I learning from this experience? And usually there is a lot. And I focus on the platforms that help me grow or that I can create valuable assets for the business.
I think we're coming to a point too where we can talk about how important they are in terms of
Yeah.
your validation, not validation as a creator, but the validation of your ideas or your products.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're the people who are going to be talking about you, or the people who, when other people come along and leave comments, like your really dedicated fans are the ones going to be answering questions for you. And like when they're answering the stuff because they know where all your products are, wherever, like where to
Yeah.
go for this, that shows a lot. Like that means that person feels that's social proof for them, right? That they're seeing that someone
Absolutely.
else is like engaged with this person and they're the real deal.
So here's the dilemma then, like with relationships being always important online, just as in real life, like networking, building real relationships with supporters. But at the same time, we have this accompanying trend of AI coming up, and it's changing how content's created and also how people engage with each other online.
Mhm.
Because you've probably seen too, like people that used to leave human comments now sometimes leave AI comments.
Yeah, like I think that if you're still a human and you're being a human, then keep
Yeah,
connecting with humans because they're out there. And I think that's going to
right.
stand out. And that doesn't mean you can't use AI. I use AI a
Yeah,
lot, because it's sort of an extension of me. It knows like all my ideas and my philosophy and my values when it comes to my
yeah.
business and stuff. Like, and it can help me create things that match that, like that are not just generic. I don't even know how do they even do those comments? I guess the bot like
There's
reads them and
You
then
can sometimes
leave
copy and paste the
whatever,
post
or
and look
yeah.
cool and then say, what would you comment on this? And then I think it's getting even more sophisticated now where you can get some direct integrations where you could just typing something and it will elaborate on what you said.
Okay.
Yeah, so but it is like it does make it in a way it's just more noise out there.
Yeah.
You can still engage with real people. They're, as you say, they're still out there. You just have to find them. And I actually agree that it does stand out more now when somebody makes a real comment that it's like, wow, someone took the time to think about my post. But you know what? I actually appreciate even the AI comments because then you know, like, well, at least somebody stopped, and even if they used AI to help them,
Thought your content was important enough.
that's right. And I think sometimes it's just people trying to maximize their reach, their
Yeah.
ability to connect with a lot of people. But it kind of goes back to what we were saying before, where it's like reaching people for the sake of reaching them, but not thinking enough about the depth of the connection.
Yeah, for sure.
So this is something I've thought about a lot as I've thought about creating digital products is how to validate them before you really get too deep into putting them out there because the kind of product that myself and a lot of other people would want to create takes a lot of time and effort to develop it,
Yeah.
test it.
Yeah.
The last thing you want is to push it out there and find out, well, actually nobody wanted that.
Yeah. I think the solution to that is not make one that requires that much work. It doesn't have to be your life's
Okay.
work, right? And you can make something smaller and
Yeah.
inexpensive and test it and see if people are
Mhm.
interested in it. Or you could release a series of inexpensive products and then later put it together into a bigger thing. Start testing those waters, seeing what they'll pay for. Because you can ask your audience what they're going to pay
Right.
for, and the answers they'll give you will probably not reflect reality. I think you have to get it out there
Yes.
and you have to see. So make it like, think about your topic. Maybe you can make some templates or checklists or a little workbook instead of like it being a whole like
Mm-hmm.
training program or whatever digital product you want to make. And you can build on it later. And the cool
Right.
thing too is if you make something smaller to start with, you can and you get your customers, you can add to that. You don't have to make different. You can add to that product, continue to promote it, and you're going to wow the customers. Like they already probably
Mhm.
liked your product to start with. And now they're going to be so like excited that they want
Right.
this extra stuff. And when you give them that extra stuff, it's a perfect time to ask for a testimonial. So you have
Right.
testimonials to publish on your site, which will bring more people. So yeah, I think starting small is the way to do it because there is,
Mhm.
we're saying like so much noise online. It's a little harder. Like,
Right.
we used to be able to, back in the day, we could make a product based on a keyword, like on the search engines, a long tail keyword that would have a few, like a longer phrase and make a product and just get sales from Google. And it was
Right.
that easy. It's not that easy anymore.
There's almost no niches that don't at least have some products for them already. So you have to raise the bar.
Yeah. And I think that's the important part about having this tight knit audience. It doesn't have to be a huge audience, but
Mhm.
one that loves to follow what you're doing and is excited to see what you publish next, is excited about your products. Like just be proud of what you have to share and get it out there. And the people
Yeah.
I don't want to say, oh yeah, just do that and everyone will come because that's not, you still have to do work. It's a way to grow a really dedicated audience and not be shy about those products
Mhm.
because you also want an audience who is willing to pay for stuff. A lot of times people will grow a big audience and they don't have any interest in buying anything. They just want your
Right.
content. So by positioning yourself differently
Right.
and you will attract the consumers in your market.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I do think that if you're positioned in a certain way as this person who's providing free content all the time, then it is hard, or you haven't built an audience of buyers yet. So then, yeah, that's the next step. When you get to that stage in your career now, are you focused on, like, I think when you start out, you probably sell a lot of lower ticket products and then maybe medium and high ticket. Do you do the full range still? Do you focus more on one area than
Me
another?
personally, yeah, because everybody should do different things. I actually, most of the time, have done lower ticket
Hmm.
products, not too many high ticket, not more than a couple $100. But I have found like now doing more because I think it is harder or more higher ticket items in addition to those lower ones. Because I think it used to be easier to get more customers for those low ticket ones. And you have to do the math. And if not as many people are buying, then you probably need to charge more. And you can make the experience more premium for them. You're serving fewer customers, but you're charging more so you can actually do more for them. Yeah, I think a balance now, but up until the last couple of years, it was mostly low ticket.
I used to see that, where there would be those creators, they'd have a lot of wonderful, like lower ticket products. And that's how I think they're building their audience. And, it was useful. And you always knew one thing I appreciated. Yeah, it's like it's $20 or it's $40, but you're going to get the value for that. So I could see that being a good niche. It's harder to find that now, I think, because there's so many
other
lower quality
stuff.
Yeah.
People always tell me they want to start a membership site. And I'm like, you have to have something pretty special for people to even want to sign up for a subscription. They've already everything else is already a subscription.
Yes.
They don't want another one. You have to have something that they really want, that they're going to use, that they can't live without, that they have to keep coming back to get it every month.
And the erosion of that over time, it's easy to get out of a subscription. I know some people don't always think of it, but like when that bill comes in and you think, well, how many times have I been to that site this last month? It can erode very quickly if you, like you say, unless there's something that is like really compelling.
And more now, because now people already have so many subscriptions, right? So you're always having to look for something. So you have to like stay on top of it.
Vetting that.
That trial you only wanted because you wanted the free thing.
Yeah, I think the memberships, they work best if it's a course you're working through and you get maybe support during the course, or if it's a done for you service. Sometimes I think those are worth paying for just because it's an ongoing cost, but now that's something I don't have to do.
And that's a lot of what we do too, because we have a website building platform and we help, not for subscriptions necessarily, but like a higher ticket product is doing the work for them.
Yeah. And you can always point to that as the buyer and say, well, I got that for it.
Yes.
And it makes sense as a transaction. Whereas like, I think sometimes the higher ticket products, they've got, they always have the disclaimers. You might not grow as much as I have, but here's the course on how to grow on Instagram. And then it's just hard to have that trust factor. There's only a few, I think, really top creators that can create it and actually sell it.
Yeah, or if you give them tools, they're done for you, content, things that people can use, templates. And it doesn't matter what the niche is. It doesn't have to be business to business. Anywhere, something that they do as a hobby even, but giving them things that they can, obviously a lot of people may not go in and do it and they'll still cancel, but something that they can look forward to, create maybe a craft, like if it's a crafting thing or whatever, that they can go in and they got the templates to make whatever it is that they're going to make, something that's beautiful that they're going to want on an ongoing basis.
Well, speaking of creating content, how do you teach entrepreneurs to persuade with empathy, as you mentioned in your bio there?
If they're struggling, they have to practice. It does come from doing stuff and having confidence in your products. And I know that is where kind of things fall apart. They're like, oh, what do they want? But you created it. You know that it's good. Come on, deep down, you know it's good. So it's a disservice to have something so wonderful for your audience and not tell them about it. You created them for a reason. These are people that I think most of us care about our audiences. And if we have a solution to some of their problems, we should be telling them. They don't have to buy it. We don't have to get our feelings hurt about it. We don't have to shame them into buying it. But when you really connect that, informing people and educating people about your products or how to be ready to use your product, maybe there's some kind of skills they need to develop to be able to use it, priming them for that. And we're there to help these people. So help them and practice.
Yeah.
And it'll be more natural the more you practice too. And you said authentic too. And then, so maybe sometimes people feel like when they're doing content, like when they're trying to sell their products, it doesn't feel as authentic, but it's still, you have to just figure out the way it's comfortable for you. And also, I think studying some, copywriting and sales stuff, even if you hate it, like I was not a salesperson. I got fired from like, I don't know. Do you know the company Bootlegger that sold? I don't think they're around.
I remember.
I got fired from there because I was such a useless salesperson. Like they wanted you to push, and I would always just be like, "Can I help? Like, can I,
Yeah.
can I, is there anything I can get for you? Or can I put that in a change room for you?" But I never actually
Right.
talked to the person, engaged them, and tried to help them with
Yeah.
solving their problem, which was what would look good on them and stuff like. And we've been into clothing stores, and we know who those good salespeople are because they really
Right.
connect with you, and they tell you like you got to be that person. Like that's
Yeah.
exciting when you can do that for people. So also be excited about it. And the more you practice, the more excited you're going to get.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a big mindset shift people have to make. Do you have any thoughts about like if somebody is, they're not sure about their product? And I think part of it too is like if it's just an idea, you don't actually find out if people want it or not. And I think sometimes we're afraid to find out the real answer to that. And then how did you must have had a lot of experience in all your career. Like some products will do better than you think, some will do worse. How do you work with that in terms of your mindset? And say you've had one that's flopped. How do you think about it and then come back from that?
Well, there's a ways to get around that too. Like where you're not investing so much of your time is you can do something that is live, right? Or,
Hmm.
and that you deliver after they sign up. So you can create at the sign up page, say what it is. And if not enough people sign up, then you can just cancel
Yeah.
it, which can also hurt the ego as well.
Right.
Or you can just go ahead and do it and realize then you have a recording and then you can
Yes.
ask ChatGPT for the trans, or you can bring the transcript to
Yeah.
ChatGPT, get a checklist, a workbook. You could create so much stuff with the content you
Right.
created and create a bigger course and do it because maybe I don't know, the topic itself, then maybe you let it go. But I think that anything you create, I've had products that didn't go as well, but I knew people wanted it. They
Hmm.
didn't really want to pay for it because sometimes there is a line, like you have to have some, like people, there's information that people need, but they aren't always
Yeah.
willing to pay. So if it ends up being
That's
something
right.
like that, that's something you can repurpose to grow your list. You give it away
Right.
for free, right? So there's no work is ever really lost. Like you
I
obviously
love that.
earn for
Yeah.
your experience, but the content is still good. It can
Yeah.
be used in different ways.
That's right. You're still creating an asset. And as you say, like it doesn't have to be a loss. It's only a loss if you
Yeah.
interpret it that way.
Yeah. I mean, it can be frustrating and upsetting, but hey,
That's business, right? Yeah. Well, how do you stay consistent with content? Because I find this is a struggle. Like I've shifted a little bit more to the merch store and creating those kind of products because I find that it's more manageable within my schedule because I can like come to a design and I can finish it within a day or two. Whereas like digital products, as I was saying, I think maybe I was trying to be too elaborate in what I was creating, but to create that and then create content at the same time and then do everything else we want to do, it starts to become very difficult to manage.
it does. I
So
also,
how do you manage it?
well, another thing when you said like that you're trying to make things too intricate, this just goes back before I
Hmm.
answer your question, is that maybe also your topic is really wide. You can go narrower on a specific part of the problem and solve a very specific one. And that way, actually, you will probably get more like people excited about it rather
I need
than
to be better with
than this
that,
large topic, how to be an expert in, I don't know,
like podcasting,
podcasting. Sure.
everything about it. I need to be so much better at that because, like, as a writer, I learned that, right? Like, one idea, right?
Right.
This essay, one idea.
And if it's podcasting, then it's think
Yeah.
of one thing that's going to make them money or get more views,
Yes.
like the goals that they want, but it's a secret
Right.
strategy that only you know, or you know to do it in a really great way, but you're
Right. Right.
fine tuning it. And then that way it's a less involved product. What about habits? Also, yeah, it's a lot of stuff to do. I think the one thing that any online business owner can do is to help themselves get a lot more done and really higher level tasks is to hire a virtual assistant as soon as possible. A virtual assistant can answer your emails, help, organize things. And like they usually have technical skills. It depends who you hire, but they can do things on your website. They can do all kinds of stuff for you. And you can hire them for an hour or two a week. And you think like, oh, if I outsource my emails, it's going to be too expensive, or my support, it's going to be too expensive. But we're always surprised at like, it takes up a lot of mental space in our head when we're doing all of it. It feels like it takes a long time. But every time I've told someone to do that and they do it, they're like, it was a lot cheaper than I realized. So just taking a little off your plate to start with and then growing from there. But that's still not going to get you consistent or habit. So it can be, because if your assistant is waiting for you to tell her what to do, you will be more consistent that way. Builds in accountability. But also, I think one thing I always say is more than consistency, I think diligence is a little more important. I see it slightly different. I think people think consistent content creation means that I have to post to Facebook every day or I have to do this every day, but you don't. You don't have to do that. You just need to make a plan, think about how your content connects with your products, and be diligent about that. That doesn't mean that something has to go out every single day, but that you're working towards those goals that you have for your business, whether it's to grow your list, to make sales, like that everything fits around there. And for me, I just consider it my duty. It's my job, right? Like I take it seriously. I mean, if I had if someone hired me to do this, I would do it diligently, and I'm a pretty awesome boss. So I should do the work for myself.
Yeah, and I think what you said about prioritization being so important to like pick a few things and then just make consistent progress on that as opposed to like a little bit of everything. And
exactly.
yeah. And I like the idea about the virtual assistant. It reminds me a lot of like on YouTube, I hear the advice like just hire an editor, right? Because that is the bottleneck for most of us. And it's almost like, you feel like it's part of the creative process, which it is, but it's not the content, right?
Yep. Or like what you find important in the editing process, you can teach someone that.
Actually, yeah. And you can get somebody else's ideas too. Sometimes we get too much absorbed in something that we think's important, but that's the audience might like something else. If you tried it, when creators get overwhelmed by the consistent demand for content, what's your framework for creating less content that has greater impact?
I think that probably everyone should create less content than they think they should.
We all watch too much Gary Vee and see him posting 10 times a day and think that's the gold standard.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that like, obviously what he says has merit too, right? And, but he's a workaholic, I think.
Right.
And not all of us are. So we have
he said that,
more strategic than that. But I think, start thinking about, obviously, because we've been talking about digital products. So I'm going to assume anybody who wants to do this has products to sell. It doesn't have to be digital, but plan your products first or your promotions. You don't have to release new products all the time. You can make promotions and stuff. Plan those first and then figure out what kind of content should go around that. Sometimes it's not even creating a bunch of content. It's asking them questions, doing polls, or giving samples of stuff. I was always amazed that on some of our bigger course launches, we would have a launch party. We'd give out a few prizes, but basically all we do is show them product, like how it worked, the members area and stuff. It was like essentially having our own shopping network. But we just talked and people came, like that's content. And people loved it because they're excited because we talk about the product long before it comes out, right? So they're already excited about it. They want to attend this event. And essentially it's just us saying this is the product. And if you want to buy it, buy it.
I love that. And it's like, it's that nuance of figuring out how do I make content to get people excited about this and give them an idea of the content without giving away the content itself as part of the lead in. Right?
Yeah. I mean, there are snippets of things that you can create. I also like to talk, especially, and I find it very motivating too, is like updates about the process. So even though I might not be talking about the content, I'll be talking about something cool that happened while I was
Right.
making this, or I'm really excited about this because like, and you're not really saying what it is, but you're saying something that motivates them too.
Right.
And then there motivates them in a way that they can see the situation in a different light, or that they're excited, motivated to buy your product.
Yeah, the content's the buzz,
Yeah.
right? To get people
Yeah.
excited about it and share a little bit about it. So when it comes out, people have an idea of what it is. They're already kind of primed. And you probably get a sense from their questions and
Yes.
their input or their excitement or lack of excitement, how it's going and what you need to tweak.
Yeah, we often ask, like, I mean, you have to have your own process, but I will ask them for input on certain things,
Yeah.
or like even middle of a launch, we'll ask them,
Hmm.
we want to add a bonus. What do you guys think? What should we
Right.
add? And then they tell you, and then they're more engaged with this.
Yes. We talked a little bit about mindset and the importance that is for creators, but what do you do to strengthen your mindset or keep your mindset strong over 20 years in marketing?
Yeah, I mean, mindset is a very thing. Like, I think it's what helps you keep going. It's what motivates you to learn more. So you have to have it. But I think the important thing is to have some joy in the process
Mhm.
and celebrate your results. The marketing process specifically, even if you hate marketing, but you like helping people. And I think it's the
Right.
same thing. So find some
Yeah.
joy in that, like when people do react. Like, say you haven't got a sale yet, but somebody leaves that really meaningful comment. That's awesome. Or they engage in something that or they sign up for something for free, whatever it is, like you've got 100 subscribers, you got whatever milestone you're hitting, celebrate those things. Those are exciting. That means that you are helping people and that
Mm,
it's making a difference, and it's going to grow your business too. So that's exciting.
absolutely.
And marketing is fun.
And I just thought of something there too. Like you're creating stuff, the market's excited about it. Hopefully you're excited about it too. When you're creating your products, how do you navigate that? I don't want to call it a trade-off because I don't think it has to be a trade-off, but how do you find those things that you think this is something I'm excited about creating and I know there's a demand out there? Because I know sometimes I've started something and I feel there's a demand for it, but I'm not particularly excited about it
Right.
myself. And then those are always the worst ones to create, I think, because you feel like there's a market, you're investing the time in it, but then when it comes to the marketing, I think that's where that mindset barrier comes in. It's like, well, I'm not even really excited about this, but I've heard there's a market for it.
So yeah, you have to find some love in part of that
Yeah.
process, right? Like convincing people to opt in, and then they go
Yeah.
through the series and they end up signing up. Maybe that's the part that you get excited about.
Right.
But I also think it's way easier to be passionate about what you're making and what you're excited about in topic of interest, because you'll be way more convincing. Your
Absolutely.
passion will show through. The energy is real. And I know, like, it's not law of attraction woo woo stuff. It's real. Like,
Right.
people know when you're excited about something, or you're just kind of like, they know when you
It's going.
hesitate, even if inside you're like, this is really good, but I don't
Yeah.
feel good about that. People can, they may not sense that's what it is, but they will know the difference between someone who's really excited about it,
Yeah.
genuinely excited about it, not just hype.
Hmm.
People pick up on stuff like that.
That's true. And speaking of that, I think you have an amazing resource to help digital entrepreneurs with their business. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, we have a couple things we do at eKid Hub University. We do a lot of courses, and toolkits for creating different kinds of businesses or content. There are also free courses there as well. We do have our business building platform at Numu. It is an all-in-one business builder. It's got your website, blog, it's got communities and email marketing, the shopping cart, all of it's in there. And we do have a step-by-step online business success kit that people can engage in, and they can try the builder for free for 14 days as well. But the toolkit itself is super valuable, worth
Yeah.
picking up, and they'll learn a lot from it. A lot of that copywriting stuff I said, and learning to be more self-promotional and helpful at the same time, right?
Is it designed for digital products or physical products or
You can
use it
do
for anything?
both, but it's more for digital products. There is no connection to like print on demand.
Yeah.
You're shipping something out of your home. It's absolutely suitable for that as well,
Okay.
but largely digital products, memberships and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But we have a very supportive community that you can come into and we can brainstorm with you.
That sounds great. Well, thank you very much, Alice. I really appreciate you spending some time with me today.
Thank you.
So, one of the things I found interesting about this episode is we did not spend a lot of the time talking about the technical aspects of marketing or product development that a lot of content creators seem to get hung up on. Specifically, things like the right type of sales funnel or landing pages needed to convert buyers, or the tools and workflow processes one could use to produce more content as efficiently as possible. Instead, we focused on the foundations of a good approach and the mindset we need as creators to carry us forward to long term success. And for me, what came out of this is that building a successful online business isn't about posting every day or creating reams of test products to see what, if anything, works. It's about these four main things, starting with number one: developing a strategic plan that connects your content to your products. This is one of the things I wish I had done sooner in my journey, and it's one of the things that I recommend for all creators to do as soon as possible, because this will set you up to build an audience that aligns best with your long-term goals. That's not to say that you can't experiment and that you won't evolve what you're doing. In the digital realm, things are changing so quickly, you're going to have to evolve what you're doing anyways. But at least this way, when you commit to one main focus and one main product offering, you're building the connections and the full range of product development and marketing experiences that you're going to need to be successful in the long run. Otherwise, there's a big risk that you remain stuck in that experimentation phase, constantly testing one new product after another, but never really progressing beyond that because you're not giving anything enough sustained effort and time. That brings us to point number two, starting with small products that you can actually finish. Think in terms of one ideal customer, one specific transformation that you're going to produce for them without some specific pain point which you're going to resolve for them. Bonus points if you can share a time limit by which this transformation is going to be achieved. An example of this might be a system that helps beginner content creators secure their first brand deal within 90 days without spending endless hours on cold outreach or development of marketing materials. It's a specific goal for one type of person, helping them with one problem. That's highly doable, much more so than something more broad like helping them to become a user-generated content creator full-time. That might be something that you want to offer as a product, but that is a high-ticket offer. That's something that's going to involve courses, coaching, and maybe a community too to help support the person along the way. The other thing about these smaller products is that you can be more drilled down on this one specific thing, and that gives you lots of opportunities to test and refine around those details of that one thing so that you're continually improving it. You're improving the product, you're improving the marketing copy, and you're giving that product a much better chance at success rather than doing something big where it's like a lot to improve, so it's going to take a long time, or just doing a bunch of mediocre things here and there and never again, like we said, testing and refining those things. This more focused approach also helps to focus your audience, which brings us to the next point, building genuine relationships with an engaged audience of buyers. Think depth, not breadth here. This is really about slowing down and trying to get to know your audience and supporting them in what they're doing, because when you do that and you're seen to be doing that, you're going to build an audience of loyal customers that are going to support you and purchase from you just as you support them. In a world of endless free information, people are looking for what they can't get from AI, Google, or another YouTube video. They're looking for clarity from someone that they feel they know, like, and trust. Lastly, focusing on quality products that you know your audience has a need for lets you to approach sales as service. Like with my one main product offering, my merch store, I'm really trying to focus on doing good research to create cool designs paired with quality products, which I know is going to bring a bit of joy and value into people's lives. And in the future, when I evolve this to the next step and add things like cameras and other physical products, it's going to be stuff that I've personally tested and like, just as I do with my affiliate or sponsored content. So in this case, I don't feel awkward promoting this stuff. It's things that I think people in my audience will like and things that I think will help them in their business. That's the mindset that we need to ultimately develop with our digital products. Speaking of which, I've got 2 follow-up episodes that you could tune into that I think will help you with this even more. The first one is episode 24, and it's called How to Land Your First Clients by Tiago Faria. And it has a lot of great information about researching and validating a potential product offer. And the second one is episode 40, The 3 Videos Every Brand Needs with Tim Bradley, which has some great information on collecting customer testimonials, which is going to help you on the other end when it comes to marketing the product once it's done, when you're looking to build social proof and the credibility that you need to make that product successful. Check those out, and don't forget to visit our merch store for content creators. I hope you have a great day. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.